I have come to realize that internal wars are no less scary than external ones. What I meant by that is that war that happens within your family and the war between nations can leave you in pain that may be no less traumatic. I barely read storybooks, but I do read the news. Whenever I read about a critical family situation, I just always think it'd be easy to resolve it if you're willing to reflect and reconcile. This is what I've learned from my lovely parents because they have a great bond. I never thought I'd be one of those critical situations that would find myself helpless for not knowing what to go from there next. Hey, I'm Stefan. I'm a soldier and 29 years of age. One of the best in my cadet who never made any mistakes, but today I feel like I might have made a mistake without knowing otherwise. Why would my wife want a divorce right after I returned from my service for a holiday? Before I delve into telling that in detail, I must talk about how I met my wife. I come from a family where a healthy and honest familial bond has been the priority. My dad, David, and mother, Diana, made it their mission to give me all their affection, support, and knowledge of our familiar moral values. They supported my dream of becoming a soldier, even though others scoffed at it, saying I was being childish. I always wanted to be a soldier, because I was so fascinated after I came to know that soldiers are given awards, like the Medal of Honor. Once I got into training, that fascination turned into admiration because being a soldier is a heavy responsibility, and receiving the medal is no child's play. I was 9 when I watched the, quote, tour of duty, and then my interest in war and the army grew to an extent where I could just keep watching series like these whenever I had the chance and privilege to watch them. You see, why am I telling you all this? Well, it's to make it clear that since I was more drawn to my dream, I never really had time nor interest to be in a romantic relationship, until I succeeded in becoming what I wanted to become, a soldier. This is one of the reasons why my family had to find a match for me. You see, my mother would force me to go meet her friends' daughters, while my dad would urge me to go to the clubs when I was off duty or on vacation. It is not that I did not go to clubs, but the truth is I never really found a girl who could grab my attention for more than a few minutes. Even after my parents' constant badgering, I did not like the idea of meeting just any girl. My mom understood this hesitation in me, so she took things into her own hands. And at a family party, she introduced me to this young woman who had ocean blue eyes, blonde ombre hair, and a charming smile. I felt like she was the one I was looking for. Or maybe I waited long enough so I could meet her. Her name was Claire. She was 28, and my mother has a friend named Emily, and Claire was the daughter of Emily and Bob. I believe Claire, too, had not found her perfect match by then, so she agreed to the meeting and conversations about seeing me when Emily talked to her about it. Claire was blushing when Emily told me this during the party, saying how Claire was looking forward to meeting me after she skimmed through my profile on Facebook. I'm a soldier, but I'm also shy in those kind of situations, so I was not the one who asked about going out for a coffee date. It was Claire. I agreed and went out with Claire as long as I was on holiday. We talked about our interests because somewhere we both had developed a likeliness for each other and wanted to test whether we were compatible together or not. I left for another posting in a different country, but Claire and I still remained in a long-distance relationship. She would share day-to-day discussions with me. One day, she told me she had decided something and wanted to share it only after I returned from my posting. A year passed, just like that, and I was back home for a few days. Claire came to see me, and my mother and dad made an excuse to leave us alone at home, thinking we needed that time to spend together. Well, I felt thrilled after seeing Claire again, and she was very excited to tell me that, quote, something she had decided about. She told me she had found a job in a decent company and moved to a beautiful condo in the city. It meant that she was no longer living with her parents, and she asked me about my view on marriage and Before I could answer, she said, "We'd be suitable partners for each other." Well, I was surprised to hear this, and she further asked me to take my time before I came up with an answer. A few days later, I asked her to meet me, where I wanted to know whether she was okay with the idea that I was in the army, and my life would be under constant menace once I was given a mission, or even when I was sent to protect the borders. To my surprise, she was very welcoming of my occupation and did not show any signs of hesitation, so finally, yes, we got married. It's actually been 1.5 years since our marriage. Claire has been very dutiful, as she always paid attention to the house while she was working. She took it upon herself to decorate our new condo, and yes, it's the condo Claire had rented. I bought it for the both of us after our marriage. Money has never been a problem in my aristocratic family, whereas Claire's, well, her background has always weighed heavy on her. Although Claire's parents did their best to provide for her with anything that she wanted or desired, there were limits, and I, on the other hand, did not want to limit her freedom. So, even though Claire has been earning, I have tried my best to be her emotional, financial, and moral backbone. She did not have a problem with me playing that role in her life. Rather, she liked whenever I paid for things and bought things for her. She would also do similar things now and then, and I had come to love her with all my heart. So now, when the things that are happening don't make any sense to me, okay, let me explain. This year, before I was posted on the borders, I saw Claire was being moody and irritated all the time. She would stare at her phone all day long as if she was waiting for something. Claire was never really fond of watching soap operas, as she was more of a sitcom lady, and I liked teasing her whenever she was engulfed in watching sitcoms on TV. But these past few days, I noticed Claire being drawn to some melodrama, not only on TV, but she was behaving that way in real life too. Well, she told me she had taken off for a few days, and I did not know the reason, but I still respected her private space, although I was worried about her. Sometimes I thought she was on her period, thus the mood swings, but then I pushed her to tell me what exactly was really going on. So, she went ahead to promise to tell me soon, and I waited and waited until the day I was to leave arrived. She finally came to me when I checked my bags and other stuff, and she said she was pregnant. Oh my goodness! I can't tell you how happy I was. Now it all made sense to me, very, very clear as to why she was behaving like this for the past month. I was a bit peeved, thinking she took so long to come around at a time when I could not even celebrate that moment. Yet I did not allow that peevishness to last long, since I was already very happy. I hugged her tightly, lifting her off the ground, and something went wrong. She had always shown her delight whenever I made that move, but this time she was not only less joyful, but also faking a smile. She looked like she was being forced to share my happiness, and I only had half an hour before I was to depart. I sat her down on the couch and held her hands in between my palms. She would not dare to look me in the eyes, as they were teary, and she looked worn out. I said that if she wasn't happy with having children now, we could still work this out after talking about it and sharing what we were feeling, thinking, or expecting for that matter. She released her hands from my gentle grasp and held mine onto hers, and she even went ahead to look at me and said that she wanted the child and she was doing okay, so I did not have to worry much about her. She went ahead to ask me to leave with a light heart, and she'd be waiting for me when I returned. My cab arrived, and I felt uneasy about leaving her like that, but I made her make a promise that she would talk to me if she had anything to share. And we'd work it out somehow, and she obliged, so I left. It was 11 months ago, and now I've returned. I'd been really looking forward to seeing my kid, and Claire was not at our condo, so I got a call from my mother-in-law, telling me that Claire was with her. My mother-in-law welcomed me, seeing me standing on her front porch. My father-in-law had gone camping with his friends from the company, so he was not available. Claire was on her bed, and I saw that cute little baby girl was sleeping beside her sleeping mother. She had tiny fingers, and as I touched her and placed my thumb on her palm, she curled her fingers around my thumb. I felt a rush of joy prancing inside my heart. I inquired about Claire's health, and my mother-in-law told me she was doing fine. Late in the evening, I heard a clamor coming from Claire's room as I was sitting on the couch in the living room playing with my daughter. My mother-in-law had given me the opportunity, and I did not want Claire to wake up from my chuckling. I went to knock on the door, asking if everything was fine, then saw my mother-in-law coming out. She asked me to leave and said that Claire had gone nuts. Well, I wanted to see Claire, but my mother-in-law said she did not want to see me. I said I might be able to talk to her, you know. But I heard Claire shouting that she didn't want to talk to me and asked me to leave. It didn't make any sense to me, guys. She shouted at her mother, saying, "Layla is hungry." I hadn't realized that Claire had already named our daughter without even waiting for my opinion. I was heartbroken. You see, I'm a man of clear words and want people to either talk clearly or give clear signs, but Claire was freaking me out. The entire confusion about what was happening made me feel so guilty, and it was ridiculous since I did not even know what I had done wrong that made Claire act that way. I kissed my baby girl and left for my condo with a heavy heart. The next day, no sooner did I think of going back home than I received mail from Claire, who had sent me divorce papers. For real! How could she do that, and why? I had no answer, and I still don't, which is why I'm here seeking advice. I tried calling Claire, you know, but my mother-in-law said she was not going to either talk to me or see me. I was scared. I am scared. I don't want to lose Claire, not when we have a little angel to brighten our lives. I received another mail from Claire, which she had written that she'd only seen me during the court hearing. This week we have the court hearing, and I'll keep you all updated, only if I see someone give a good suggestion on how I can resolve this situation to save myself and my family as well. What's up, everybody? Mr. Reddito here. Today's story is jam-packed with 4 updates. And, well, Claire is just all of a sudden deciding not to be with OP, but we are going to find out why. If you guys are new to the channel, go ahead and click that subscribe button for daily videos, and let's jump into update number 1. I feel dreaded while writing this update, I really do, but I simply need an escape from stress from all the trauma I've gone through this week. I appreciate all the suggestions, and I did find some of them sensible. As per your suggestions, I've reached out to Claire's friend that I knew. Yet it was in vain. They said that it had been a year since they talked to Claire. There was one friend closest to Claire to whom she would talk to weekly. Jimmy. I called Jimmy, and she told me Claire had cut her off 11 months ago. I realized it was the time then Claire started acting strange because of her pregnancy. Jimmy tried to reach out to Claire but could not, and later she was occupied with issues in her own married life, you know. I didn't want to believe that Claire and I could do such things that would not make any sense to anyone. I tried to reach out to my in-laws, and in the end, my father-in-law said he could not be more embarrassed and furious as he is himself, and didn't know what was happening. My mother-in-law said she also did not know anything, which I did not want to believe. My mother-in-law had been with my wife throughout the entire pregnancy, you know, making me feel suspicious of her. How could she not know about her own daughter, who suddenly started behaving the way she was and wanted to cut me off without any reason? Until then, I thought there was no reason. Finally, all this confusion was going to be resolved, and I thought about several reasons up until the court hearing, but found them all hollow and unbelievable. You know, I smoked for fun and never to cope with stress, but this whole business of divorce led me to smoke to cope with this traumatic situation? Well, on the day of the hearing, Claire arrived with her mother while her dad was missing. When the judge asked for the reason, Claire, without looking at me, went that she was fed up with me. She was fed up with my absence for most of the time, and she wanted a supportive partner, and I was not the one she thought would be the partner until later. Was it an epiphany that led her to all this? I mean, she clearly sounded as if she did not really have a decent reason. She claimed that I wasn't there with her throughout the pregnancy when she needed the support of a partner. She claimed to be scared and worried about the future of our daughter, who would have to live under constant worry, thinking about her dad's safety as she, Claire, would think about her partner. At no point did she look at me while saying all this, though. She went on to say this and that and this and that as I had stopped listening, knowing from her tone that she was adamant about taking this divorce seriously. Her claims were not only ridiculous, but absolutely baseless. I wondered, how could she worry when it was she who was okay with my being in the army? It never bothered her before, so why would it bother her now? The judge looked at me, and I knew from the look on her face that she did not readily believe the words coming out of my wife's mouth. She asked me about the reason, and I told her that I myself was in utter shock after my wife sent me these divorce papers on my return from duty. I said I was not simply going to oblige to my wife's decision for a divorce, and I wanted to know why she was asking for one. Not only that, my wife demanded child support while I was not even ready to let my daughter go out of my life. The court hearing came to a halt after I requested a second hearing. I paced so I could get a hold of Claire. She would not look at me. She just won't. I was furious now. She just looked at her mother and said she wanted a division of assets and child support, and I asked whether she needed the money that she was attempting this stunt for. A cab halted in front of us, and I saw Claire waving her hand to signal to the driver. I told her that she was not leaving until she gives me an answer. She looked at me, warning me not to make the situation worse for the both of us. Well, I let her go after my mother-in-law just went ahead to say that she would talk to her daughter. I had so many questions and no answers, but Claire left, murmuring that Layla must be crying at home. I realized that my father-in-law must have been with Layla at home, and I let her go. There's no way in heck my Claire could behave this way. She looked as if she was walking on eggshells around me, and that averting gaze of hers made the air filled with apprehension. Now I'm suspicious of things turning this way, and I want to know the truth. I want to know where the Claire I knew had gone, and I think there's only one way to unveil it. And that is to make my mother-in-law start talking. Update number 2. I wish I could say that everything has been resolved after I got to know the truth, but I can't. The truth I found out has been stained with dirt and dishonesty. The dirt I found out, my wife and her ex. As I had updated you about the court hearing last time, here I am to update you about my meeting with my mother-in-law. You see, your comments filled with empathy give me hope and make me feel a bit calm. If it wasn't for this platform and my parents who have been through thick and thin with me, I would not have been able to survive this blow from my wife now. I met my mother-in-law yesterday, and my mom accompanied me to that meeting. She wanted to make sure I was all right, and she wanted to make sure that she was with me when I was thrown into the chaos by my wife. I invited my mother-in-law to my condo, as my mom was also there, and it was a safe place to talk things out. My mother-in-law arrived, and she looked worn out and disheveled. She looked as if she was under a lot of pressure and stress. I asked her to sit down and make coffee for both of my moms. After drinking coffee and sitting quietly for a few minutes, my mother-in-law looked relaxed. She must have been worried about how to tell me about things she told me about later onwards. At first, my mother-in-law was not able to articulate and uttered incoherent excuses about her daughter's behavior. Then I held her hands. I looked at her with concerned eyes, and as calmly as I could, I asked her for the truth. She started sobbing with her forehead bent down on my hands, and I knew something was off. And her reaction of her made it clear. Claire was not just, quote, fed up with me as she claimed she was hiding something. She's been hiding the truth by presenting lies to me. As my mom tried to calm my mother-in-law down, my mother-in-law said that she was sorry for staying quiet for this long. She didn't want to ruin her daughter's married life. She told me that she had gotten a call from Claire telling her she wanted to return to her parents' house as it was a critical time for pregnancy for her. My mother-in-law and father-in-law allowed it as they were delighted to take care of their daughter at that time. Later, my mother-in-law found Claire talking and often shouting at someone who was on the other end of the line on the phone. My mother-in-law first thought it must have been me, but she soon found out when Claire uttered the name Daniel. While on the phone call, when she confronted Claire, she admitted that she was talking to Daniel. You see, Daniel was Claire's university classmate. Claire always had a crush on Daniel, whom she believed was out of her reach because he was interested in somebody else. Well, a year later, Daniel started flirting with Claire when his friend told him about her crush on him. Daniel, according to my mother-in-law, was a total womanizer. He never stayed in a relationship for long and often left his girlfriends without giving them any reason. However, he still asked Claire out and she agreed. My in-laws were against it after coming to know from Jimmy that Daniel was not a good person. But Claire simply would not listen and continued to be with him until one day he left her for another girl named Camellia. Camellia was a rich girl from some other class. My in-laws did not know about Daniel's background or family much. The only thing that they were made aware of by Jimmy is he was not a good man. After a year of our marriage, Claire got a call from Daniel, who asked to meet her. Even though he had broken her heart once, but since she was always in love with him, she left him, seeing her. My mother-in-law said that Claire wants the divorce because Daniel claims he loves her and wants her back, and even when Claire tried to sort it out on her own by telling him she was already married, it did not make him budge. He asked her to meet him, and he sent an address of a club. Claire did not tell me because she thought she could make herself understand that she did not love Daniel anymore, but she was lying to herself. My mother-in-law told me that after Daniel, Claire never came into any relationship with anyone until she decided to marry me. I was surprised, thinking this was the reason why she never talked about her past relationships. I'm both furious and absolutely heartbroken to say that Claire has been cheating on me. She's been in an extramarital affair with the guy Daniel. She chose to give in to his charm and her long-lost crush on him. I was shocked when my mother-in-law told me that Layla was not even my daughter. It was a bombshell that my mother-in-law dropped on me. Knowing that your wife has been cheating on you and coming to know that the baby was not yours can really lead you to lose your mind. I was numb for quite a few seconds when my mom put her hand on my shoulder and hugged me. I had not even realized that my eyes were teary. I wanted to confront Claire for what she did to me, and she had to come to destroy my life. Next week is the court hearing, but before that, I'm going to find out who and why this Daniel has returned, destroying my and Claire's happy married life, at least it once was. Update number 3. You must believe when I say that I can't feel my feet for the past few days ever since Claire left the home. I've been so out of my mind that I did not even update you all. I'm just going out of the country tomorrow, so I wanted to update you all before that on what I will and everything that happened until now. I've told you all that I was going to find dirt on Daniel to show that Claire was making the wrong choice. I had one of my friends from the investigation department to help me with this, and he got all the information about Daniel. Can you believe that Daniel is a fraud? Well, my friend told me that Daniel dated rich girls and did not stay with anyone for long because he used them and drained their money as well. When he was satisfied, he would go and find another target. I could not think of the reason why Daniel wanted Claire back, but it became clear after the hearing when I confronted Claire. During the hearing, I had my mother-in-law be my witness in proving that my wife had been cheating on me, and the child was not mine. When Claire saw her mom speaking against her, she broke into tears, and she admitted her guilt, so the court decided that I was to not pay for the child's support. The division of assets was done, considering that my wife had cheated on me. You might wonder why, after knowing about Daniel being a fraud, I did not try to warn my wife. Well, I did, but she sent me this text saying Daniel's feelings for her were true and she'd be happy with him since now they have a child to take care of together. She told me that Daniel has promised her marriage. I let her have what she wanted and agreed to divorce because I did not want to have a broken family just by keeping Claire by my side. My mother-in-law was talking to my mom when I caught up to Claire after the hearing. I asked her whether she thought Daniel genuinely wanted to be with her. I asked her could she simply ask for a divorce, but why did she try to hide the truth that the child was not mine? She said she was scared I might lose control, which I must make clear I've never lost ever since in my life. She wanted child support and the assets divided so she could support Daniel and herself. She told me that Daniel wanted to start a business and he needed money, and he asked me for a favor, so I was going to take a loan on those assets. I knew that Daniel did not just approach Claire, he planned it out already, meticulously. Well, why am I saying this? Well, it is because of what Claire confessed to me further. She said she met Daniel at the beginning of this year, and she has been with him since then. She claimed to have met him at the supermarket, and I wondered how convenient this coincidence must have been. I know I can't make Claire believe me, that Daniel is not to be trusted, and I also know it's my gut feeling that he's going to hurt her again, because he is that type of guy, you know. Claire can't support Daniel financially now, so I wonder whether he'll last long. I'm not sure how I feel about it all now because I'm clearly numb, hurt, and alone. Although my parents are there for me, my friends are there, not to mention my in-laws. Ex-in-laws, and are also very considerate of me, but still I feel like it would have been nice if Claire was here to show me her charming smile and tell me that it's gonna be all right. It hurts badly to know the one who shattered me from within is Claire. I know I'm not Layla's biological father, but I still looked forward to her birth. I was able to endure all my days during my duty because I wanted to see her face when I returned. Once in my life, I cannot wait to come home, but now nothing can be done. The damage has been done and done away with, and I may not have anything to update you guys with. Thank you for listening. Update number 4. I had thought the last update was going to be my final one, but oh boy, I was wrong. I've come to tell you all that my mother-in-law called me today. I must tell you it's been only a month since my divorce happened, so my mother-in-law called and told me that Claire was crying all day, cursing herself and her life, and she said that Claire and Daniel seemed to have a big fight on the day Claire told him about the result of the court hearing. He was not happy because she failed to get the money that he needed for the business from me. Since Claire was not working after her pregnancy, she was unable to support Daniel. In the end, he admitted that he approached Claire not because of love, but because he had to know she married an aristocrat. He wanted to get the money only and tried all tricks to trap her, and you see, Claire can't even file a complaint against him because in the end it was her choice to leave me for him. I must admit, I was frustrated and furious at Claire. I still prayed that she gets what she deserved, and that was no less than happiness itself. But I think in the end she finally understood how foolishly she has behaved. I was wondering why my mother-in-law called me up for it, but she was expecting me to talk to Claire in hopes that she might come back to me. In all honesty, guys, it took me a whole month to make amends with that hurt, and I'm not ready to scratch that wound again, which has barely started to heal, and Claire did not even care to think how she was doing me so wrong. She never apologized, nor did she ever show regret. I'm not sure whether I want her back in my life, but I really am worried about Layla now. If there's one thing I don't want, it's for that infant to suffer the pain of her mother's choice. All in all, I want to thank everybody for the comments and support that they've given me. Alright guys, so this story was pretty crazy. I want to hear from you guys about Claire. A lot of people in the comment section, they were basically saying how she deserved everything she got, how her new man didn't care about her because he was just using her to get to OP's money. Let me know, do you think that everything that fell on her was stuff that she deserved? And let me know what you thought about the story. Guys, drop your comments down below. My name's Mr. Reddito. I narrate stories every single day. Inheritance drama, mother-in-law disputes, cheating stories, affair dramas, you name it, we cover it here on Mr. Reddito. So make sure you hit that subscribe button, guys. We're closing in on 100,000 subscribers. I'll see you guys tomorrow, and just remember one thing. It's cool to be kind. See ya!